this is Clint from Body by Clint. I'm here with Jamie with another segment of Ask Jamie and see what she can tell us. So Jamie and I were discussing the different diets that our clients and customers come up with, asking us about this, is that diet? And I'm not a fan of diets, so I will defer to Jamie, the expert here, to kind of guide you on what diets make the most sense. I prefer to just figure out the best way to eat that you can do it for a lifetime. And people say eating healthy or eating clean. Okay, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Jamie will give you a little better instruction on what that is.
Yeah, so I agree as well. I don't like the term diet. It tends to imply short term.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going for is long-term behavior change that you can maintain.
Right.
And a lot of these diets are very difficult to maintain long-term. So one that's coming up a lot lately is the keto diet, which is the...
I get an email on that every day.
Yes. So it's because it's the trendy one now.
Okay.
So it's the ketogenic diet. It actually has been around for about 100 years. So it's not new. It just, a lot of these tend to resurface.
Okay.
So the ketogenic diet stands for ketogenesis, and that's when your body does not have any carbohydrate stores to go on, so it starts making ketone bodies, which can be used for fuel. They make it from fat.
Mm-hmm.
It occurs more commonly in people who have uncontrolled diabetes, and it can be a very dangerous situation in that case because their levels of ketone bodies can get very high, and it can cause brain damage and other issues. So it's not a safe situation in that case. It's not likely to happen in somebody who doesn't have diabetes. I mean, the poisoning essentially.
Okay.
But there are diets now where people are putting themselves into ketogenesis by doing essentially little to no carbohydrates.
Okay.
Lots of fat. Most of the calories are coming from fat, a little bit of protein. And they are losing weight because what happens is your body gets, it uses up all its carbohydrate stores. Water follows, and weight drops really fast initially. So people are hooked because all of a sudden they're losing 15 pounds really fast.
Okay.
And then about 4 weeks in, I'd say, 4 or 6 weeks in, it starts to get kind of old.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting any carbohydrates, limited fruits and vegetables. So it's hard to maintain.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone who's been on it for months and months. It's just a difficult one to maintain. So for that reason, I just don't recommend it.
Right.
So
because that doesn't sound like a lifestyle that you can continue on.
Exactly. And then another one that's a little less extreme is the paleogenic or paleo diet.
Okay.
And that one, has some decent principles. It does push eating less processed food, which I like that part. But again, it restricts so many foods that in day-to-day life can be difficult. If you go to a party or something, you can say, oh, I can't have that. But, it just, it's hard to maintain. And frankly, a lot of the claims are not proven. There's actually a very interesting TED Talk from a woman who is actually, she's studied these diets from this era, and she said that's not really the way they ate. So, and a lot of the claims like we didn't evolve to digest dairy. Well, actually, yes, a lot of people can digest dairy and not have a problem. Some can't.
Right.
But, some of the claims are just not founded in science. So, again, I like that it pushes more fruits and vegetables. It does push less processed meats and things, and a little bit of whole grains, not many.
Okay.
But, some of the restrictions are not really, they aren't, it says you can't eat many beans. Well, beans are great for you.
Yeah,
and
beans are a great source for fiber and some protein and certain things.
Exactly. So, for that reason, I don't recommend it. And then the other one that's pretty trendy is this intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there actually is, it doesn't really restrict types of foods. It essentially restricts calories. So, and there's different patterns. So there's some where you, like an every other day fast. So one day you eat whatever you want. The next day, like about 500 calories. And then keep going. And then there's some where it's just overnight So you eat between certain hours in the day, and you don't snack outside of those hours. And then there's other patterns, 5 and 2. So, and these ones actually do have some decent research behind them that show that, actually over time we did evolve fasting pretty regularly because we didn't always have food available.
Right.
So some of those are showing a little bit of promise. Works for some, not necessarily for others. One interesting thing I read was that a lot of these are working better for men than women.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting
good friend of mine, he went on it, and he, at the time, I think, 330, 340. And I didn't see him for like 4 months, and he was down to 250 or something like that. Looked great. I was just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he told me about this, and I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea. Yeah.
Right,
So I was like, yeah.
But some people
and his wife was doing it, and he said she wasn't losing the weight the way he was. So maybe there is something there.
Right. And there's a lot of active research going on in this area, so it'll be interesting to see.
Okay.
And again, if you're making healthy choices on the days that you can eat, that's obviously a good thing.
Is that something that you think that can be maintained?
I do think it,
yeah.
I think it, and that's kind of what they're finding is that because you have feast days, people are finding easier to stay on it. So they have their day where they can't eat much, and then they have the day where they can eat pretty much whatever they want, but they aren't doubling their calories. So instead of doubling, they might be doing 125% of their calories. So they're still, in the grand scheme of things, eating less calories than they need.
So let's say they get to the point that they're kind of leveling off where they don't want to lose any more weight.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Then they could just maybe on the fast days add a little more calories.
Okay. All right. Any other diet things or tips you want to throw out?
There are some diets that are really not diets. The Mediterranean diet, which we hear a lot about, is actually it's more of a way of eating.
Yeah.
And that's maintainable. Lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, olive oil, things like that, fish regularly, limited red meat. And that, even though they call it a diet, is just more of
just a
way of eating and definitely can be maintained. So that's one that I do recommend regularly.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much.
Yep.